Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today's conversation is for you. Are you young, looking for opportunities in the DJ space, and not think? I'm thinking about the different pains that might come, challenges that you might find. Safety. Am I good enough? Would people even love what I do? What I put out there? Well, my guest will be telling you her challenges and how she found her joy. And not just that, she'll also be telling you, sharing her very youthful insight as a young DJ. She'll be sharing her youthful insight of how she went through those difficult phases of her life to go through this passion, something she truly enjoys. But let me tell you a little bit about her to get you a little bit more excited about this upcoming guest, Hannah. Hannah Rose, warm and engaging professional who most at home in a radio environment. Highly skilled in all aspects of production, broadcast journalism, and creative project management. Passionate about music, pop culture, and chatting up new and established underground artists in her bi-weekly show. We got your attention, right? Well, we'll be talking to her because she is a DJ. She is also a content producer for many interesting well-known brands such as Smooth Radio, This Is Hot, LBC, and many more. She helps in that content producing space. She'll be telling you about how she overcame her challenges to get to this beautiful part of her life where she's truly happy and she's found her joy. Meet my amazing guest, Hannah Rose, as we share her amazing journey and her story. Hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today I'm very excited about this conversation because it's all about female DJs. So many of you girls have written out to me and asked me, to have this conversation to inspire young girls out there who want to go on this path. Well, we got a wonderful guest for you. Hannah will be telling you about her journey, how she got here, and also fantastic work she's doing out there, not just in the DJ space, but also within content creating. Everyone knows the difficulty it is when it comes to content creation, but she will be telling us how she creates her ideas, where does all this idea spark from come from? And she'll be telling you about being young. What is it like? How do you overcome challenges of being young? Meet my wonderful guest, Hannah. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, it's a delight. I'm so happy that you took the time out. Like I said in my introduction, so many young girls always write to me, and they always want to see a variety of pain topic. And one of the things they said is that they all go out at night. They love the aspect of DJ, and I think there's so many young, aspiring young people who are going into that field now. But not quite sure what are the challenges that come with it. It sounds so glamorous. I'm a DJ, I'm doing this at night, I'm entertaining so many people. But the other side is always hidden. What are the challenges? How do you get booked? How do you get out there? We're not even going to go start. We're not even going to start further with that yet. We're going to start first. Who are you, Hannah?
So I am a DJ, a producer, and also a content creator. So I've got my own show on Subtle Radio. And more recently, I've been getting bookings for events across London, nightlife. And my most recent role is a content producer. So that's across nationwide global stations such as Capital and Heart, LBC, Radio X, which is my dream job. And I'm really happy to have just started it as well.
Oh, wonderful. When you look at your background growing up, what was that like? Did you always know that music was your thing and then the thing you're doing now, was it always your calling?
So my dad brought me up listening to so much music. For example, The Prodigy was actually one of his main ones, so really heavy stuff. Lots of Northern Soul, lots of reggae. And I feel like I've completely taken it from him. And I always knew I wanted to do something eventually with radio or with music. So yeah, it's definitely always been lingering in the background.
And then how did you now make it a profession? Because it's one thing loving something or having that in the background. Then when did you now decide that this is something you truly needed to learn? Did you have to go to university or where? Because honestly, I'm asking this in an honest space because I don't know if I wanted to do this. Where do I go to learn the skills of it? What would you do?
So I did go to uni and I did media and English because I always liked writing, coming up with ideas, storytelling. And I didn't realise how much I loved radio until someone kind of let me come in and have a look around the studio and listen to it all going on. So I've literally done, I feel like I've done every job in radio, like started out as a runner, lots of assisting, working for free, just kind of trying to get my foot in the door with as many places as possible. And I used to work at like hotels at the same time just to keep some sort of money coming in. So yeah, it was lots of grafting and lots of hard work, but I always knew that the end game was to be coming up with my own content and kind of getting that out there.
So when did you finally know this is it? I'm now going to officially say I am a DJ. What pain and challenges did you have to go through to get that stamp? I know you said something about you had to work, you had to do two jobs sometimes. It was just, I mean, a job while you were really going on this adventure of really working, trying to get the sound right. When did you really go get that right?
I think for me personally, there have been a couple of challenges to overcome, and I think there have been things that have been quite hidden. So the main one for me, and I've not actually spoken about this much before, but I think it's so important for young people to hear, is performance anxiety. So I've never really been, I've always been a really confident person, really nosy, lovely, like love to chat to everybody kind of person. But I don't think people understand the pressure until you have a mic in front of you. So, or you're stood in front of a crowd, or and for me personally, I was doing a presentation at uni, and my mind just went completely blank. And this was at the point where I'd realised I wanted to do radio, and I kind of, every challenge after that I had was kind of, it was taking me back to the same place of, can I overcome this? What is it that's causing this? And I ended up having hypnotherapy and doing all sorts of things to try and get rid of it. And I think honestly, passion for the actual thing is what got me through. So I think I knew I had to get over it myself. I don't think anything else could have done that. So it was just about putting myself in that situation and thinking, do I love this enough to be doing it? And is that enough to make me good at it? So yeah.
So what is it like when you're a DJ? What do you have to do? So someone who's saying to themselves, this is something I've heard so much about. What do you really have to do to get your audience going and really get booked out for gigs at not in the evening or daytime? How would you do that?
So I think it's about really knowing your own tastes, knowing what gets you excited, and being able to put together a playlist that, because you so want people to feel that themselves. So I feel like if it's exciting you, that's a good start. It's all about, for me, planning ahead. So like I said, because I had those problems in the past with performance anxiety, every possible preparation stage for me was a must. So planning out my playlists, kind of taking someone on a bit of a journey, so building them up. So there's a middle point where they're at the absolute highest for me, because of the genres I play, and then winding it down but ending on a high is another good tip, I'd say, because people like to leave smiling after your set.
And as a woman, young girl, do you feel safe in this space? Because I think this is why a lot of young people, young girls don't go into this space, because one of the things you've noticed is that you play a lot in clubs, you're alone, you have this space, even though you're in this space. But as a young girl, do you encourage other women to take to pursue that dream? Do you feel very safe in that space?
It makes me really sad to think of it like that, because you're completely right. It is obviously a risk. Luckily, I've been really looked after by the people in the industry that I've dealt with. So artists and male DJs have kind of been there for me, but sadly it is still a really misogynistic space, and I have had other obstacles in that sense, where you're kind of not looked on as somebody who's worthy of being there because of your gender, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Or you're kind of turned away from jobs because you're refusing to enter into flirtatious conversation with men. So they're not willing to give you offers, but because you want to be there on Raw Talent, you don't want to be there for any other reason. So yeah, I would encourage any young girl that really wants to do this, as it's harder than it sounds, but to just absolutely go for it and make sure you've got the right kind of support around you, having a female network of DJs around you, whether that's following female DJs on social media or actually spending time with other female DJs. I feel like for me, that's a massive support network around me that's kind of got me through.
And you do a podcast as well. You in your podcast, you shine a light on other DJs who are, either up and coming or established DJs. So what led you on that path to really get this spotlight on them?
I think it was mostly during the pandemic. So I don't know about everyone else, but I was fed up of kind of talking to the same few people. Loved them to bits, but also wanted to just branch out and chat to people. And I thought, who better to speak to than the people whose music I absolutely adore? So why don't we get a bit of a more personal look into them, see how they're getting on, because they're probably bored at home too, and just kind of open up the more personal side of them, and have a bit of a laugh as well. I think it's always good to see someone's sense of humour.
Yeah, that is quite encouraging that you actually had this whole concept during the lockdown, because I think so many people came up with this, because it was true. What else do you do? You stay at home and you talk to the same people every day. It gets after a while, you're like, okay, can I get new concept, new ideas from someone else, and you actually utilize it. Your work now, you do the DJ, but you also do brand content. How did the idea of brand content always come to you, and now you're so natural at it that you now do a job you truly love?
I'd say it all comes from the love of storytelling, which I guess radio is, and just the enjoyment of hearing something that you've done go to air is amazing. It must be similar to what an artist feels like when they hear their own song on the radio. And it's just nice to be a part of putting that together. It's a lot of brainstorming. So I feel like if you've got a creative mind that kind of goes a million miles an hour, it's a perfect outlet for you, because no idea is too big, and everything can always be scaled down a little bit to make it happen. So it's a nice place for creativity.
You're such a young girl, but I have to ask you this question, because this is something that's on everyone's minds, especially with the way we define success with social media. There's so many competition out there, people comparing themselves, looking at what the other person is doing. It's like, oh, they're doing better than I. How do I get there? In your world, what does success mean to you?
The older I get, the more I realise that individuality is actually what makes you stand out. So I feel like it's really hard sometimes to I feel like everyone looks inwards, but if you start looking inwards for the right reasons and thinking, yeah, this is different and this is not what I'm seeing on social media, and there aren't people like me doing this, that's more of a reason to go for it, because you can be the first person to be doing that kind of thing. And it really is what makes you heads and shoulders above other people, to be authentically yourself, because that's what people want to see.
And what next for you, Hannah? What have you got to tell us that's coming up? If someone wants to watch some of your DJ, where could we catch you perform?
So I'm trying to load a load of bookings for next year at the moment. I'm really keen to do some more presenting. Maybe I've thought about maybe TV presenting, just to add a different string to my bow, but I will definitely be posting stuff on my social media once I've got some bookings sorted. And yeah, hopefully lots more presenting.
And final words of encouragement for people. This is a downtime because of the pandemics and things, like just people who are, especially like yourself, people in the DJ space, would be upset about the whole pandemic if it comes back again, because what do you do with your time? DJ is all about being out there entertaining, really, in the hospitality space. What words of advice would you give to people who might be anxious about if things happens and not sure what to do? Before I let you go, I need to know, what would you say to people?
I think it's a perfect time to have a look at exactly what you want to achieve. See it as downtime, time to look after yourself, but also time to master your craft. because when the lockdown's lifted again, you're going to be ready to go more than ever. And people are going to be dying to book you. Get a pair of decks, like a second-hand pair if you can, and drive your family or friends mental with them while ever you're locked down, and just have fun with it, and you'll come out the other end absolutely fine.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Hannah. I really enjoyed talking to you. And also the words of inspiration to girls out there, and not just girls, young guys as well, looking into going to the space, believing that it can be done. And as much as we question ourselves all the time, but it can't be done, we just have to believe and overcome that challenge of yours was that fear of, you wanted to do the interview, but you were quite, school when you wanted to do your presentation, that got you that pain, got you couldn't even speak. And I think a lot of people go through that stress where they either they can't do the presentation or something goes wrong, and you just have to believe in yourself and just go for something you truly love. I think this is why you're so successful in both sides of things, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're wonderful. Thank you.